Hi, I'm Vincent Xu, a medical oncologist and clinical investigator focusing on kidney cancer at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute.
Hi, I'm Srinivas Viswanathan. I'm a medical oncologist and physician scientist at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, and I also run a research lab focused on kidney cancer and especially translocation renal cell carcinoma.
Dr. Viswanathan, when you think about translocation kidney cancer, how does this work and how is it different from other kinds of kidney cancer?
So it turns out that there are dozens of different types of kidney cancer, and each one of them is molecularly distinct. Until very recently, a lot of the focus has been on clear cell kidney cancer, which is the most common type of kidney cancer. But there are many other different subtypes, and translocation renal cell carcinoma is one of those subtypes that makes up about a few percent of kidney cancer overall. The reason it's called translocation renal cell carcinoma is because it's driven by a translocation or a joining of two different genes. And that is a key feature of this type of kidney cancer that makes it molecularly distinct from other subtypes of kidney cancer. It also has different demographics from other subtypes of kidney cancer. In particular, the patients who have translocation kidney cancer tend to be younger, and there's also a female predominance. So for all of these reasons, we really need to understand the biology of translocation kidney cancer distinctly from other subtypes of kidney cancer so we can develop better treatments specifically targeted to it.
That's great. I'm glad you brought the question of treatment because this is one of those kidney cancer types where, because of its rarity, our treatment options have not been as good as it has been for more common types of kidney cancer, for example, clear cell kidney cancer. Up until now, when I see patients, and as a community, when we see patients as oncologists in the clinic who need to be on medicines, our treatment options for translocation kidney cancer are essentially extrapolated from our treatments for clear cell kidney cancer. And this includes medications such as VEGF receptor TKIs and immunotherapies. And while these combinations can work, and in fact, in the small numbers of patients that have been on trials, combinations such as cabozantinib and nivolumab or lenvatinib plus pembrolizumab do have pretty good response rates in the first-line setting in the 50 to 67% range. We don't have such great options for patients who are on second or third-line treatments who need more treatments that are specific to the biology of this disease. And as time goes on, we're helping to learn more from clinical trials, and we're hoping that a better understanding of the science behind translocation kidney cancer from people like Dr. Viswanathan will help us to explore new treatments. So Dr. Viswanathan, when you think about what's going on in your lab and around the country, what are some of the exciting areas of biology that are being worked on?
Thanks, Dr. Xu. So I think it's really important, particularly for this subtype of kidney cancer, for us to make major advances in the basic biology of how it works in order to develop better treatments. And right now in my lab, we're very interested in a few different areas related to translocation renal cell carcinoma with the goal of ultimately developing better treatments for patients with this subtype of kidney cancer. The first area is to find methods to better diagnose and monitor translocation renal cell carcinoma, or tRCC. tRCC under the microscope can often appear the same way as other subtypes of kidney cancer, and so sometimes it can be diagnosed initially as another subtype of kidney cancer. But with better molecular testing, we can more accurately diagnose tRCC early, soon after diagnosis, and that type of accurate diagnosis is important in order to know exactly what type of kidney cancer a patient has. We're also working on ways to better monitor tRCC so that we can monitor the burden of disease that a particular patient has at a given point in time. And then another area, major area of our efforts is to really understand the basic biology of that translocation, which gives tRCC its name. And the reason for that, although it sometimes feels removed from the clinic, is that we really need to understand how that translocation works, the basic biology that underlies it, the pathways that it activates, and that will allow us to be able to develop specific therapies that are targeted to the biology of tRCC rather than therapies that are repurposed from being developed for another subtype of kidney cancer. And all of this is done with the goal of ultimately moving towards molecularly inspired clinical trials that are targeted specifically for patients with tRCC. And maybe Dr. Xu, if you could wrap up by talking a little bit about the long-term vision about how we would like to ultimately test some of these hypotheses that come out of the lab in patients with tRCC.
That's great. And this is what's really exciting to me about the future of tRCC treatment, which is now for the first time, we can actually base some of our treatments on the biology and test these in clinical trials. And so for the first time, we now have clinical trials that enroll tRCC patients, but not only that, but we're working on treatments that are biologically based and not just taking medications that we have from other cancer types. So if you do have tRCC or you're close to someone who has tRCC, I would really encourage you to speak to your oncologist and see if it makes sense to get an opinion from a specialized cancer center that sees a lot of tRCC patients. The trials are changing from month to month. And, for patients who are good candidates, I think these can be good options. As time goes on, my hope is that we'll have more and more treatments that are specific to tRCC and hopefully less toxic and more effective than the things that we currently use for other RCC subtypes.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk a little bit about tRCC. I think we've made a lot of progress in the last several years and hope that in the coming years, we'll really be able to move towards specific and effective therapies for patients with tRCC.
Thanks very much. Great talking to you.